And the other characteristics of the imperfect tense is that, like all verb forms, it will have the stem and the ending. So, as you know from your previous lesson, room 2 is designated for the stem, and room 2 for the stem, and room 4 for the ending. Now, let's see how the imperfect looks like in the indicative active form. We are going to use the the most familiar verb, that is luo, I lose. So now let's apply all the rules that we have been looking at. Uh, here is the point. So let me start with the room theory. So in room 1, I don't know where this fly is coming from. It is awkward. So let me begin with the room theory to explain the imperfect active indicative form of luo. Uh, let's come and visualize the room theory. Room 1, we have the augment. So the augment is the epsilon, and don't forget why we have it here, because luo starts with a not with a vowel, with a consonant, so it applies. But what if this word is Jesus? So I shall begin with the four-room theory concept to explain the forms of the imperfect indicative active form of luo. So now in the singular and in the plural, and don't forget that the four-room theory, deals with each room being occupied by a certain characteristics of the verb. So, for example, here in the imperfect indicative active form, room 1 will be occupied by the augment, that is an epsilon, and then room 2, as usual, for as it is common for all kinds of tenses, it will be occupied by the stem, and for us the stem here is lu, and room 3 supposed to be what? Remind me? Sign of tense. Have I heard someone saying sign of tense? Yes. Very good. Excellent. So, sign of tense. If it was a future tense, what would be the sign of tense? Uh-huh. All right, you're right. It is sigma. How about if this was the perfect tense? What would be the sign of tense occupying room 3? Come on. Good job. It is the kappa. So, but here, let me ask you, how about the aorist? We have seen first aorist in our previous lesson. What would be the sign of tense that would occupy room 3 if this was the first aorist? Good job. Someone said it is sigma. Very good. And how about if this was just the present tense? There will be no sign of tense. That is exactly the thing that we've been saying about the imperfect tense. So similar to the present tense, the imperfect tense does not have the sign of tense. But then in the room 4, we have our ending. So the ending is on, is, n. And if you are aware, this ending is different from the endings that we have seen so far. Like the present, it is not like the present, it's not like the future, and it's not like even the aorist, the first aorist is a different one. But the good thing is this ending will be shared with the other form of the verb, that is the second aorist tense form. So be watching and be paying attention to these endings. So now we can go back and work through our luo indicative active form in the imperfect tense. Now the first person, second person, and third person singular plural. So let's try to pronounce it. Eluon, eluomen. The meaning is I was losing, and don't forget that the concept here is actually aspect or the way the action is presented. Aspect has to do with the way the action is presented. Has to do is that like when you use imperfect, it is past, but it is past repeated action or past and completed action or something that began in the past continuing and not being finished in that past time. So I was losing in the singular, and in the plural we were losing. So, and the second person singular, elues and eluete, eluein, eluon. So and observe this. The ending for the singular first person and the third person plural are similar, on and on. So how would you know it is first person singular or third person plural? Have I heard someone say context will tell? Yes, you're right. Context is what determines the meaning. So if it is intended for the first person singular or the third person plural, you can only know by the context. So let me say this again, and I will allow you to follow after me. What I will do, I'll go through all of them and then maybe pause for a minute. Eluon, eluomen, elueis, eluete, eluen, eluon. Very good. Let's continue. So the important concept to remember or to have in mind and to take home from this lesson is that this imperfect tense has no sign of tense, but it has an augment like the first aorist. But what differentiates it from the first aorist is first aorist has an augment plus sign of tense, and its ending is also different from this imperfect tense. So have your you know have your mind focused on the endings and also the sign of tense, and the augment is also there, but it should not in a way maybe like misguide you, okay? For you to quickly say, oh, there is an augment, so it is an aorist. So you need to analyze or parse. You remember parse, check everything. If the stem, you just need to look at the stem, look at the ending, look at the prefix, and look at the infix. That is the good rule to go with to analyze each tense. So yeah, this is what we've said already. And now, point 6, with verbs that call for contraction. Now, this one we have already talked about it in lesson 1 when we talked about the actually lesson 2 when we dealt with the present indicative active form. So, what are the contraction rules? The contraction rules are if a verb whose stem ends with an epsilon or an alpha or an omicron, and when you add to it the the tense former or the sign of tense, or prefix or infix, there will be some kind of change, and that's the rule. So what did we say? Like if you have an epsilon as the for example, look at this one. This is phileo, and the ending of the stem is epsilon. And the idea is that when you add any other vowel to epsilon, there will be a different, the result will be a different kind of, form. So that's what we mean by that. And again, you remember that when epsilon, an augment that is represented by epsilon, doesn't need to be added to any word that begins with a vowel. It will just needs not a contraction, but lengthening. So this is what we mean by that. So there is a need for you to go back to your lessons and check how it works. But let's look at this one.